Hello, hello. What a wonderful evening. I'm going to take this opportunity to discuss. To go in time, the year is June 10th, 1963, when one of the greatest, I could call him an orator or a spokesman, the President of the United States, then President J.F. Kennedy. In his peace speech, Kennedy was very precise, was very honest. He was very cunning. Kennedy was a man of his words, and he believed in his word. And to examine, I'm going to examine a few things that J.F. Kennedy was very concerned when he was dealing with the Soviet Union. He believed that the Soviets were imposing their political, economic, military, and those social uh, things on others who were unwilling people. That was an issue that was causing the world tension. Why do I bring this story today? His speech is similar to our time. Kennedy may not be coming from the place he came from in our time. It seems that speech, that logic is coming from another place, different. It's coming from the other side of the highway. That is what's more important in our time. Genuine peace, not for ourselves, but for all time. And Kennedy emphasized that we are all breathe the same air. We breathe the same air. And they stressed on how one nation would think that it could control because the world now has changed. We have nuclear powers, China, the United States, we have even France, we have the Russians, and many countries have acquired nuclear weapons. It's not going to be a war. Like if the war was to break between Ukraine and Russia, it's not going to fight in Ukraine. It's going to fight outside there because their interest will not be there. Their interest will be the enemy of their enemy, the person who they want to inflict pain. So it's not going to be a war like you're going to expect that. What will they gain by fighting Ukraine? They won't gain anything. So let's examine the specific things that Kennedy was concerned. Number one, Kennedy spoke. He was a man who believed that men can solve the world's most difficult problems because they have reason and they have the spirit and the God. And Kennedy, his concern was about genuine peace, not just for only Americans, but for all people at all times. And in his emphasis, he believed that peace is a process. When we talk about process, it's a process that is involved many nations. Like now, peace, to acquire genuine peace for the world, it has to be a process of many nations. They have to talk. There must be dialogue. And that's what we are seeing right now. There's an open dialogue, there is a concern, you submit your grievances to the other opponent, which the Russians did. They submitted their grievance to the NATO, whatever, and the United States, and their response, it's an open for dialogue. That is the beginning of peace. But when you charm the news channels or this country is going to attack the other country without notice, it's what Kennedy was against. Kennedy said that the Americans cannot go charming the news channels that these, all this and that. Kennedy was a man of his word. And the United States at that time, they didn't believe in imposing their will or their system in other unwilling people. Contrary to that, today it's different. People impose their will on others through economics, through military, through political. That causes human tensions that we see in our modern times. How can the world come out of this? First, the world must refrain from economic persecution. Number one. Number two, military and political. We saw that the case of Venezuela, case of Iraq, and many countries. This has caused so much pain in our time that we have witnessed with our own naked eyes. This has caused so much tension. So there is mistrust between nations. And if nations want to trust each other, they must learn to abide by the treaties that they sign. If they sign a treaty and one withdraws from that treaty, you are causing tensions because there is lack of trust from your side. So, what was really Kennedy's greatest strength? Kennedy was a man of dialogue, a man of sincerity, a man of honest, and a man who believed that peace was really genuine and peace was only possible as a process. And no one nation was going to impose their will on others just using the gun or using the military or using the economics. Such a ways of application have caused our world into danger. Not only the world now is more different and has changed, there are many alliances now, unlike during that time of JF Kennedy, there were certain alliances and there were two uh, polars fighting against each other, the Soviet versus the United States. Now we have many polars which have come into practice. And every corner of the planet, they have aligned. Each has its own specific interest to conquer the world. And that's what we see in our time, prevalent. So when I was looking at JF Kennedy as a man of his time, he was a man of character. He was a man of faith. He was a man of truth. He was a man who stood for genuine peace. Not only was a man of God, he was a Catholic and he believed in God and he believed in peace. He used to quote the great prophet Isaiah. Isaiah was a man who proclaimed the peace of the Lord, the Prince of Peace. And another thing that I was looking at, this Kennedy believed that nations can not only live as brothers, but they need to learn to live together. You can disagree with another nation, but it doesn't mean that you have to disagree to a point you want to destroy the other nation. So that is one of the greatest strengths of the American power at that time. And the key topics now I was looking at is genuine peace. Nations need to grow economically and making their alliances. And like our time now, we try to understand what is the cause of tensions between nations. How do we avoid that? What are the channels of communication? And what's the function of treaties? Nations sign treaties in order for them to keep watch over their intent. Let's going to impose your will on one particular one, it will be one of the dangerous times that we live. So the key word is let the world focus inwards. See yourself as your brother. That's what even the Bible teaches you that do to others as you want them to do to you. Reflection of inward reflection will save the world of the dangers. Let each nation reflect on its own dangers, on its own shortcomings, where it has gone wrong, what it has done. And the other one will examine, then they bring their grievances to a just and genuine peace. That is the only way we can have a world peace. So our goal now is how can the world achieve world peace? Through diplomacy, through genuine dialogue, where one nation presents its grievance and the other one responds. If they are not satisfied with the answers, they go further to an open dialogue where each person has to submit to the grievance, then they have to find a compromise. I hope this message of peace helps you and the world can find its peace, the peace that the world needs at this time, not the tensions, not the fire, not the guns. May God bless you.